Good evening, I'm Peggy Scott Laborde and welcome to Steppin Out, spotlighting the New Orleans area's arts and entertainment scene. Seated at our table tonight, John Kemp, art columnist for Louisiana Life magazine. Hey John,
hey,
great
Peg.
to see you,
Good
dear.
to see you.
Hello, Poppy Tucker, host of the WWNO radio program Louisiana Eats. Hey Miss Poppy.
Hi Peg.
Hey, and making their Steppin Out debut, Cody and Samantha Carroll. They are the proprietors of Sac-au-lait Restaurant, which opened earlier this year in the Warehouse District, and they also, of course, have Hot Tails and New Roads. Welcome, y'all.
Thank
Good to
you.
see you. And Steppin Out theater critic, Mr. Alan Smason, who is also editor of the Crescent City Jewish News. Hello, sir.
Hey there.
But first up, Poppy.
First, we have to give a big shout out to Emerald Lagasse, whose foundation last weekend between Boudin Bourbon and Beer and Carnaval du Vin raised over $3 million for his children's charity. So way to go, Emerald. And then I've got a scoop. I'm the only person who knows this, but now everybody's going to find out that it is the centennial of the Roman Taffy Candy Wagon. And Ronnie Kottman called me up and he said, Poppy, you're the only person I'm telling, so you have to do the publicity for me, but on Sunday at 10 a.m., this Sunday, at Magazine Street at Audubon Park, Ronnie will be there, and he's going to roll the price of the candy back to a nickel a stick. And he's really hoping that generations of families who have loved Roman Taffy candy will show up to pose for pictures with the card. Isn't that the sweetest thing?
That is a scoop.
That is a scoop. Okay. And now, speaking of scooping, it's time to scoop some Thanksgiving dinner. And I've got some ideas if you don't want to cook, but you want to eat at home. My number one choice might be Cochon Butcher. I mean, just for the dinner rolls alone. That you can get their dinner rolls, the cranberry sauce, the oyster cornbread dressing, boudin, stuffed turkey, green bean casserole, and Chef Maggie's Scales pecan pies that are beautiful. And so you have to order by tomorrow if you want Cochon Butcher for Thanksgiving. And pickup is available Tuesday or Wednesday next week. No pickup on Thanksgiving. Then our buddy Matt Murphy at the Irish House, he's serving in and he's also available for takeout. His first seating is at 3 o'clock on Thanksgiving Day, but he's got a really unusual takeout dinner available that includes potato and corned beef soup, turkey, and of course shepherd's pie, roasted turnips, parsnips, rutabagas.
Soup?
Yeah, potato and corned beef soup. So you can have a little touch of the Irish Isles on your Thanksgiving dinner, and if you have to order that by Sunday, and you can pick up from Matt either Wednesday or Thanksgiving Day. Now, if you're on the West Bank and you don't feel like crossing the bridge, you can get takeout Thanksgiving from Sunray Grill in Gretna. You've got till Monday to order from them, and they have shrimp bisque, fried Brussels sprouts, pumpkin cheesecake. That kind of is a great alternative to pie. And you have to pick up before 10 a.m. on Thanksgiving Day, Sunray Grill. Then, if we're going to talk about eating out, there's a really unusual choice this year at Compare Le Pain, who, of course, Nina Compton, runner-up for Top Chef. She's got a real Caribbean twist on Thanksgiving dinner. Caribbean pepper pot, seafood escabeche. She's serving, jerk sweet potatoes, pumpkin custard. It's going to be delicious and really unusual. And, of course, turkey. And it's only $65, and she's serving from 1 until 8 p.m. So that's the unusual. Then to talk about the old favorite usual, Tujague's Restaurant. 600 people dine there every Thanksgiving because it is the place to be. If you were there at the right time, you get to see the Southern Grambling marching bands, Battle of the Bands come marching by. We were on the balcony last year. It was so much fun. And the menu consists of shrimp remoulade, that's their sweet potato crab bisque. You have a choice of filet, fish, or chicken, and bread pudding with praline sauce, and it's only $54.
That's a deal.
And it's really fun, and I'll be there signing cookbooks for part of the time. I can't stay away, you know? I can't stay away. That's my home away from home. home.
Well, terrific. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
And moving on to more restaurant coverage here. We're so thrilled. You all opened earlier in the Warehouse District this year and all the way from New Roads. But you're originally both from Bachelor, Louisiana, aren't you?
Bachelor and Gonzales.
And Gonzales.
Yeah.
And Gonzales. And you met in school? Tell us about how you met.
Yeah, we met in culinary school. We were in the same class. And then towards the end, right before we graduated, we just decided, hey, we'll try something out. So we ended up opening Hot Tails. Before we were married, we were dating, and then we got married. And then from there, it was 5 years, and then now we're here.
So it's more than okay to work together. Now, you all, we have royalty in our midst, okay? Because in 2013, the Louisiana Seafood Promotion Board proclaimed you all the king and queen of seafood. Yeah. Look at that. That's a great photo. Love
And you
that.
actually had to cook for that competition. It's not just about looks, you know? It's not a beauty pageant.
And you were on the cover of Louisiana Life magazine.
Cody
I remember
was.
that.
Cody was on the
Yeah, it was
nice.
great. So how does that work with Hot Tails? You all go back and forth, or you have
We
great
do.
people in place, I'm sure.
We have people in place, but we do tend to go back and forth. It averages about every 2 weeks we're back in New Roads.
Okay, now I know you have a special meal, one of our Season of Good Taste meals,
Yes.
Monday night. What can people look forward to there?
A lot of our most
Traditional.
talked about staples here at
Alligator,
Sac-au-lait.
turtle. We're doing venison, backstrap.
Yeah.
Speckled trout. Some beautiful speckled trout coming in now. So.
Oh man! So of course
Good.
that's Monday night for WYES. We're a good cause, as we feel. So people can go to our WYES website for more information about our Season of Good Taste dinner, of course.
Still have
But
a
you
few
also have some show and tell. I was just going to say, tell
Yes.
us.
We brought a little cocktail for everyone. So this is what we call a dam thistle. And it gets its name from those
Whoa.
thistles in the woods that Cody would have to dig up
In the
his
cow
farming
pastures.
days. And so it has a Ryza vodka, which is made in Thibodeau from rice, some elderflower liqueur, Saint Germain, pineapple lime, and it's topped with a hibiscus flower that you can eat.
Wonderful. And show us the pie.
So this is something that we just started on our menu. It is a white sweet potato pie. They from Cubby Rise Farms. They brought us some white sweet potatoes, which are beautiful. And the inspiration from this was kind of behind, eating on Thanksgiving, like a pumpkin chiffon pie or something like that.
So great. Now you all are open on Thanksgiving too?
No, we are not. We are open
Okay.
the Wednesday before, though.
Okay,
So-
well, you're doing your big blast there. Now we have some photos of the restaurant. Tell us about what you were trying to achieve with the look of the restaurant.
Yeah, I mean, we got in there and we stripped the place down, started over, and
That
we
was
went
in the
there
cotton mill.
Yeah.
That
It was
was
an
the
old cotton mill
Right.
building, and we took. My older brother came help, and my little brother. So he does all the woodwork. My older brother, he's a carpenter. So we actually took pieces of paper and started designing the place. And we took next door. There was an old broom factory. They were throwing all of the wood out. So I got with the foreman of the job, and I said, "Look, I want all of this wood." It was all 140-year-old pine. So we got all the wood from next door.
Oh my gosh,
So-
are you pretty handy? You know how to do that stuff?
All I can do.
too?
I mean, I grew up. I'm a farmer.
Yeah.
I'm a farmer, and I mean, I grew up building stuff and everything.
And now we're looking at some dishes here. What would you regard as like a signature dish?
That's the smoked,
fumé.
the poisson fumé, the smoked fish dish, smoked cobia. We do a smoked fish. It's lightly smoked, and cobia is really the only goldfish that I feel can hold up to the smoke. Everything else gets brittle and kind of chalky.
Now, did you both help your mom when you were little in terms of cooking? I mean, how did you first
my
really
parents
get into
cooked
Yeah.
every day.
Going
I
into
mean, I
camp and
remember
everything.
waking up to the smell of roux and just getting after
And
it.
going
so.
to the camp. Anybody who
yeah.
lives in Southwest Louisiana, there's
Camp
usually a
cooking.
hunting or fishing camp.
Deer
isn't there?
camp and then the fishing camp in Grand Isle. So you can see on our menu, it's labeled out hunt and fish. It's broken out as our experiences from there and from also from the
good.
farm too. So.
Okay, well, good. We're so glad you're here. And of course, I
Thank
know you
y'all.
have a website. And once again, Monday night, a special meal in honor of WYES. And you can get more details of that at WYES.org. But we're thrilled that you're here. Thank you so
y'all.
much. Okay. And New Orleans Magazine's quiz queen, Julia Street, has a question for us. Last time, Zay DeLuz, hello, Zay, named the major river in southern Illinois that empties into the Mississippi and the town where this happens. The Ohio River and Cairo, some people say Cairo, Illinois. Now tonight's question. Two quarterbacks One retired to New Orleans. The other was raised here. Both played for Ole Miss. Who are they? Email your answers to steppinout@wyes.org. Our prizes: a year's subscription to Louisiana Life magazine. And tonight we have 2 dish towels with the messages, "Play it again, salmon," and "Beyond a reasonable trout," from our friends at wearablevegetables.com. And you can visit WYES.org for our online calendar to see our lineup of events. You can also link to our WYES YouTube channel for all kinds of more information about that as well. And you know, we have a very special art spotlight tonight. We have a weekly artist spotlight, but this time we have a full-length feature. Longtime New Orleans artist Luis Colemenares is comfortable working in metal and on canvas. And much of the time, whatever he comes up with has a touch of whimsy. Let's pay him a visit. From his studio in Chalmette in St. Bernard Parish, artist Luis Colemenares creates whimsical sculptures and splashy paintings, often centered around a lovable crustacean. Each piece of art begins with an ingenious idea and requires imagination and patience from start to finish.
I never want to duplicate what I've done before. I'm always trying to reinvent the wheel, and it's really, really hard, you know. I like things that balance, I like things that move, I like things that rotate, and you know, I use a lot of different methods for those. But if I'm building a sculpture, you always start with a very solid foundation or a base, and then from there you work your way up.
Colemenares, who is of Colombian descent, was introduced to art at an early age.
My mother had a closet in the house that was a studio, and she would play with all kinds of paints and all kinds of things, and I was fascinated by her airbrush. And her airbrush was, she'd put drops of paint in it and blow it onto the canvas, and that was the airbrush, and I played with that thing for years and years. And I think that's how I got stuck doing, you know, art. And then in high school, I had a really great teacher, Miss Ricks at East Jefferson High School. She was fabulous. And then everything else I do is really self-taught.
But New Orleans is the biggest influence on his art.
You know, you go to these different spots in New Orleans and you see some really creative things. You see all these old bars and old funky walls and you know, even street poles that are bent and the color of the street poles, that wonderful New Orleans green that we call it. Those colors work so well in New Orleans, and all the bright colors. And I think that's what influences my colors in my paintings and my sculptures.
His artwork can be seen around the city in the form of streetcars and fish, and in restaurants, where his contributions often extend beyond a basic mural.
I'm one of those people that walks into the job site with the architect there, and I design the bar stools, I design the floor, I design the wall, I design the light fixtures, I pour the resin on the tabletops, I put in the artwork. It's the Redfish Grill. We did giant fish with neon all through their, you know, all through their area with palm trees that look like coral.
Today, one of his favorite creations is a big-eyed crawfish named Boudreaux.
My daughter Emma and we were at a crawfish boil many years ago, 2001, and we found a little blue crawfish and we took him home. So he didn't get boiled, and we took him home, and he lasted, I don't know how many years, but when the little creature passed away, I had called him Boudreaux, and Emma used to call him Blue. And I painted a painting for her, and I gave it to her, and then 13 years goes by, and she's upstairs in my studio painting with me, and she turns to me and says, "Poppy, paint me a Boudreaux." And I said, "Who's Boudreaux? What a great word, Boudreaux." And then I painted her another painting, and then everybody in my studio wanted one. And then so I kept on painting some paintings, and I ended up painting 40 paintings and sold them all, and painted another 60 paintings and sold them all. So we went to the Art Council, and then they helped us trademark and copyright it.
For Colemenares, sharing his work with others is the best part.
I want art to go to people that, you know, can afford it but can't afford it either. I love that people look at these pieces and say they're so whimsical that they make them happy. It's a wonderful thing.
And thanks to producer Suzanne Pfefferle Tafur. And here is artwork that Luis is actually donating to the 25th annual Azucar Ball tomorrow night, where he will be awarded the Galvez Cup to thank him for the contributions that he has made to the New Orleans area and the Hispanic Heritage Foundation and the local Hispanic community as well. The Azucar Ball takes place, that's tomorrow evening, as we said, at the Hyatt Regency Hotel on Loyola Avenue. You can visit NOHHF.org for more information. And we also have information on how to contact Luis. And you can see his website, of course, bluedro.com. And interesting location where he is these days.
It is. Of course, you know, they're calling Luis the Picasso of Chalmette now. that's his new name.
It's great.
It's a great name for him.
Yes.
But no, there's another important artist who's moving into Araby, St. Bernard Parish in a big way. That's Mitchell Godet. Good name from the river parishes. That's right. But Mitchell, you know, he was the one who was the pioneer in the Bywater section. He bought this 16,000 square foot building on 3,000 Royal Street, turned it into a art glass manufacturing plant. Well, the taxes got too high as the Bywater became an important place to settle. And so he decided to move on, and in 2013, he found the old Araby movie theater on St. Claude Avenue, just as you cross the Orleans Parish line, right by Jackson Barracks. The old movie theater was vacant for years, so he bought the building, moved his studio down there, cut back on his production staff, and concentrates more on his fine art, and he's in there now. And it's a wonderful place because he works there, his studio's there, his gallery's there. So you walk in the front door, which is the old theater lobby, you see all these magnificent works there for sale. But then you go back into the theater section, and you see works in progress. All of his art class work.
And reasonably priced, too.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And you go and actually go all the way through the in progress work section. You get back to the forge and to the furnaces where he's pouring molten glass, which is a fascinating part. And he's quite a raconteur, so he loves to give you a tour and does a great job explaining all of the found objects he has in the thing, how he builds this thing, what he's saying about these things. And as he gave me a tour not too long ago, and I went through. And the pieces that have made the most impression on me, and I really like his work because he's telling a story. There's a narrative in all of his work. It's just not beautiful class work, utilitarian class work. There is a story, and much of his work, especially in that series which he began back about 1991, 92, and it continues to this day, is called The Seven Deadly Sins. And initially he took the casted glass to represent each of the seven deadly sins. And more recently what he's done, he's gone to auction houses, to estate sales, and bought 19th century portraits. And he's working all of these seven deadly sins around the portraits. So you may find your great-grandfather or great-grandmother in there somewhere surrounded by seven deadly sins. And after Hurricane Katrina, he added something else to that palette. He salvaged a lot of the old damaged statues, icons from local churches that had been flooded, burned, or whatever. And he has these, and he combines this with his forged glass. What he's saying here is that, you know, he was born and raised in the Ninth Ward, grew up Roman Catholic, pre-Vatican II Council, and he loves all of the pageantry and that went along with the Catholic Church prior to this. It's not as austere as it is today. And he loves this and he misses this, and this seven deadly sins, especially with the statuary, represents all of this early pageantry that he misses so much. A great deal of spirituality in his work. And he also did work as a result of the BP oil spill. So it's a lot of social issues involved and all this strain of Catholicism that runs through all of his work from his upbringing in school.
And he has a lot of ornaments. He does little things, too.
Well, he was in addition to his individual fine art, he also had his commercial glass production, up 400 people working at one time.
Drinking glasses.
400 people working for him on Royal Street. Now he's down to 2, and really doing his fine art work now. Does the glasses and everything else, but most of his work is cast glass, where his business partner in the studio Inferno that he founded on Royal Street was Scott Benefield, and he was more to the glass blowing side of it. But he's also his wife, Erica, is also an artist too, and has a furniture production company. Production is special design furniture that she does a few blocks away on Melee Street. But also he's working with the Mero Foundation down there in St. Bernard Parish, And they put up $2.5 million where he's buying 5 properties around his studio. They're renovating. It should be ready by early spring to attract other artists into Araby and make it an art center. So you're going to have him going down through Bywater. Well, he's an entrepreneur. He's a businessman. He's a landlord. He's an investor. You name it, he does it. He does it really well. The other, moving uptown now, is another artist at the Carol Robinson Gallery, a magazine in what is that, Napoleon.
Yeah.
And there's a new artist there who's showing in New Orleans for the first time. His name is Dave Ivey. He's a plein air landscape painter, and he's from this little town of Keithville in northwest Louisiana, actually southwest of Shreveport, right near the Texas state line. And he lives on his farm with his wife, Kathy. And he's only been a really professional artist for the last 6 or 7 years. And he paints mostly plein air, which means on location, out in the fields and the pasture, paints on location. But he has a unique style that he uses the brush part of the way, but also uses a very large palette knife in which he just streaks that paint across the thing, creating kind of a balance between the illusion and realism. Does really very nice work. And then finally, at the Arthur Roger Gallery is Jacqueline Bishop. These are wonderful paintings. These wonderful allegorical paintings that she does about global warming and the destruction of the natural environment. Art historians are going to be talking about her work a century from now, because they're very unique.
Visionary images, realism.
And she was one of the founders of that whole movement back in the early 80s. Too. So I highly recommend seeing that
She
show.
Still looks like a little kid, though. I know she's been around a while, but she's a
I have gray hair. I had dark hair when I first met her. She looks the same.
She does. She's not changed.
Hasn't changed a bit.
Thank you very much. And over to Alan.
Okay, well, the world premiere of a Song of a Man Coming Through, which was written by Joe Morris Doss and his son Andrew, has been playing for the past 2 weeks. I got a chance to see it this past weekend. That's in association with Southern Rep, of course, who produced it, and Faux Real, the festival that's been going on. This is the story of Ernest Knighton Jr. Now, on the poster, you'll see Lance Nichols, who's very well known from his work in Treme, but the person that is playing the part of Ernest Knighton Jr. is Robert DeKey, a black man given the death sentence for accidentally causing the death of a white man convicted by an all-white jury. The question of his guilt is never raised, but the question of whether or not the punishment fits the crime is, of course, raised. The character of Knighton, of course, accepts his fate. There's virtually an army of clergy and attorneys who attempt to stop his forthcoming execution. Mike Harkins plays Joe Doss. Now, Doss himself is a controversial figure. He resigned his bishop as an Episcopal bishop back in New Jersey, but he writes this as a priest who was in in Louisiana at the time, working and trying to stop this event from happening. He's got the mannerisms down very nicely, as does John Neisler as Julian Murray, the attorney. Also, I will tell you that there is a photo here I took of Mike and Joe Doss, the actual performer and the person he's performing as at last weekend's performance. And here's the entire cast with not only Joe Doss, but there's Jim Julian, played by John Neisler, who's right behind him. So you can see the entire cast. Julian Murray and John Neisler right behind him. So, and you see Cecile Montaigne is in it as well, Ian Hawke. The cast really comes together. They have lots of great music in here too. It takes place in a church at First Grace, and again, I have to tell you, they start off with the gospel and the spiritual singing. The cast is led by Barbara Shorts and Brittany James, who do a great job there too. So it's directed by Amy Hayes. It really is a must-see. If you haven't seen it, a really impressive performance because of where it takes place and the way that it's done. A minimal amount of lighting, and it really is very, very effective. I think that this is something that really will be remembered. And again, it's a world premiere. Now, speaking about Faux Real, I wanted to talk about a very unusual, very charming production at the Grodat, and again, you might know where this is, the Youth Farm in City Park. It's a swamp play by Ariadne Blade. It's titled Yellow-Eyed Creatures, and it's directed by Blade and Sage Estelle. And it's a retelling of the paradise fable of the Garden of Eden, literally set in a swamp and set on the edge of City Park Bayou there. The focus of the stage is a live oak tree. The swamp world of these two sisters, if you will, of the sky and the swamp, swamp, Aura and Cree, played by Justine Magawan and Linnea Grigg, is shattered when the appearance of a man, Kato, by Pearson Kuntz, the actor. Now, the sisters are challenged by this man in their midst who brings chaos into their otherwise tranquil world. Who will win in this epic battle between the civilized man and the balance of nature in the swamp? Will the bird of the air and the gator of the swamp win and triumph over this interloper? Well, we'll have to find out. And you'll have to find that out by going. It's closing this weekend. Yellow-Eyed Creatures. Also, another fun show for faux real people is the retelling of the Godfather saga. Yes, in, of all things, Shakespearean era iambic pentameter. That's right. I can't explain how it works or why it works, but it does. It's called Corleone. A great job by Earl Cineo Jr. as Don Vito Corleone and Sam Morril as Michael. The whole cast is very good, including Robert Mitchell as Salotso the Turk. He's the guy who put this whole production on. He's second from the left there. There's Sonny. It really is wonderful. They don't have guns a lot of times. They have knives and swords. It's just wonderful. Also, a reminder that the Mysterium Magic Show, the 2015 winner for the best show at the San Diego Fringe Festival, is going to be playing its final performances this weekend. And for more information, check out the Faux Real website. That's fauxrealnola.com. I am sorry to report that it has been such a busy theater season. I have been out of town a little bit. I am not going to be able to see the third part of the trilogy of the Blueberry Hill series that was started by Butch Care with Blueberry Hill and followed up with Ain't Got No Home. However, please be assured they do have their final shows this week, and I'm sure there will be a remounting, and I will report on it at that point in time. But Hello, Josephine stars Butch Care as the director, and again, they've got Troy Bechet's in it as well, and several of the cast members who had been in earlier plays as well. But I recommend it. They use all that incorporation of New Orleans music, the rhythm and blues stuff to really, get your mind off of the storyline and get your foot to tapping and your hearts to flying. Also, coming up at the Contemporary Arts Center this weekend, the rarely performed Tennessee Williams comedy, of all things, called The Mutilated, is going to be running. It features quirky actress Mink Stoll, who's only one of 3 people to appear in every one of John Waters' films. Mink Stoll will play Trickett Dugan, who's sprung from the slammer after a shoplifting incident by her friend of, listen to this name, Celeste Delacroix Griffin. It's played by Donna Duplanche. It's set in 1948 in the Crescent City just before Christmas. For more information, go check out the CACNO.site.
And a good friend of Divine. A good friend of Divine.
Divine,
yes.
Of course.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Now it's time for our picks of the week. John.
We have the New Orleans Academy of Fine Arts on Magazine Street. You have the annual miniature show. You can see all the...
Oh, yeah.
It's one of the best shows of the year they have.
Oh, love that.
Nice
wow.
work, yeah.
And Poppy?
The most fun farmers market of the whole year is always Tuesday at Uptown Square before Thanksgiving. I'll be there signing books.
All righty. Cody, Samantha, favorite dishes on your menu these days?
Goodness.
One of the new hits is it's redfish throats. So we're cleaning our redfish. We're saving the throats, which are also called collars. We're calling them throats.
Okay.
An old Cajun man, he called them throats. We're calling them throats.
That's right.
From Grandma's.
I wanted to, mention, of course, coming up Thanksgiving Day, the right after that, the 10 Commandments hike I'm leading. Check out that. We'll have it on our website. But this is Carrie Nation, if you don't recognize her. I'm bringing that up because Bremner Duthie's having Speakeasy, a show of Prohibition-era songs. It also stars Ashton Ackridge. I can't wait to see this.
Okay, and now my picks. Don't miss the St. Catherine's Day Hat Parade. It's this Sunday. It begins this Sunday at Pleasant and St. Charles Avenue, Pleasant Street, Uptown. Wear a hat and bring a bottle of bubbly if you like. Donation tiers start at $10 to keep the event free. Prizes will be awarded for best hats, and there will be live music. Go to hat/NOLA.com for details. On Tuesday, the Canal Street lighting ceremony will take place at the Astor Crown Plaza at 5 p.m. And then at 6 p.m., Judy Batoni and I will sign New Orleans Mardi Gras Moments. That's at Octavia Books. And earlier today, we just wanted to point out, of course, that there were services and a tribute to New Orleans music legend Alan Toussaint. We at WYES want to once again send our condolences to the family. Mr. Toussaint was a board member of our station and kind enough to participate in our latest documentary concerning the Mississippi River and be on Steppin Out just a few weeks ago. So he is so sorely missed. Understatement of the year, right? Thank you all very much. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.